throughout my whole life, I thought that's where I was going to be, just this chubby fat kid. And, you know, I yo-yo dieted a lot. I didn't know how to actually diet. So I never really knew how to diet. I always had an excuse why I couldn't stick to it, and I fell off somehow, and I ended up gaining more weight than originally what I started off with. I didn't have a doctor to go to because I haven't been going to a checkup or anything like that. So she had secretly found me a doctor, did my new patient paperwork without me knowing, and she came home one day and said, "Hey, you got a doctor's appointment Monday morning." At that point, I couldn't say no, you know. The last time I weighed myself was 405 pounds. So I went in, I did the blood work. Initially, that's what happens. You do your blood work, and then you come back, and that's when the wake-up call kind of happens. This doctor was telling me everything was basically wrong with me at the time, you know, and it was such a big wake-up call that, you know, I knew I was unhealthy, but I didn't know I was basically dying at this point. When he tested my sugar level, it was at 500. He was shocked and like beyond shocked. And I'm like, okay, it's at 500. You know, I don't know. I didn't know what that meant. And he put it in reality that when you are at that range, you should be in a diabetic coma. And all I thought about is, man, I'm not going to see my daughter go into the first grade, you know. He's prescribing me all this medication that, you know, I need to go get after this appointment to start getting back on track. So I went out and sat in my car almost for an hour just thinking like, man, what did I do to myself, you know? So I went to this supplement shop. I walked in, and of course this guy's jacked, man, you know, like sculpted. And I told him, I said, look, I'm not looking for any supplements. I just want to know what you're eating to get healthy, because you're doing something right. You know, I told him I can't eat salads for the rest of my life. I got to make it work with my family as well. So basically he described the bodybuilding diet, and I'm sure you know what that's like. You eat about 6 meals a day. Everything's like weighed out. I was sitting at home one day. I was so lost, man. I'm like, man, is this it? Am I going to have to get these prescriptions? Am I going to have to weigh my food all the time? I can't even go out to dinner with my family without thinking like, hey, does this weigh a certain amount? Can I even have it? I happened to come across the documentary Bigger, Stronger, Faster. So I looked these guys up, man, on Instagram and YouTube, and I'm like, all these guys are doing is throwing away the bread and just eating meat, and they're shredded, and look how strong they are. I was telling my family, look, I'm going to try to do this red meat diet and just basically eat red meat. Now, when you tell somebody that, they're like, you're already digging yourself a hole, and you're not going to take prescriptions that a doctor assigned to you, and now you're telling me you're going to eat red meat. It freaks people out when they hear the word red meat. That's what you're going to eat. So I said, I'm going to give it a shot, just see what happens. Kid you not, man, the first month, the weight started flying off me, you know, and I'm like, man, maybe I'm onto something. But at the time, I'm still going for checkups at the doctors as well. And he's thinking I'm taking these prescriptions. And I didn't. So the whole year, I just focused on my diet. I didn't even go to the gym or anything like that. All I did was just, you know, zone in on my diet, and this red meat stuff was working for me. In a 1 year time frame, I lost 191 pounds, just diet alone. And now I'm going back to my doctors for my yearly checkup, and he was blown away. He goes, something might not be accurate here, because everything looks normal. So he had me do it again. And I went back 2 weeks later for another checkup. Told the doctor, I said, look, I know you prescribed me all these. I gave him actually the envelope with all the handwritten prescriptions he would give me. And I said, look, I didn't even turn in one of these. All I did was change my diet to red meat. When I saw what, you know, Mark and Chris were eating, all I'm doing is cooking ground beef. All I'm doing is putting something inside the crock pot. It was just so simple. You know, I could eat as much as I want of it, you know, obviously not overeat, but, you know, I didn't have to stick to a time clock and say, I got to eat at this time. I started really listening to my body and saying, well, now I'm hungry. Now this is the time to eat. Listening to my body, that's when I found out, you know, what the correct times for me to eat was, not what I was programmed to think I was supposed to eat at that time. I'm realistically eating 2 pretty good sized meals a day. You know, about my meat portions are about 8 to 10 ounces, honestly. And if I have eggs with it, I have about three eggs. And those are consistently my meals about twice a day. I'm never hungry. I'm never hungry. My body just knows, okay, around this time, I'm going to eat this meal. And then when I get home from training, I'm eating this meal. And I have so much energy throughout the whole day. I feel like I have more energy now than I've ever had in my life. Even when I was on the bodybuilding diet, I was eating every 2.5 hours. You know, I was even eating carbs at the time, where everybody tells me, you know, you need carbs to really have energy. I got more energy now taking away the carbs and adding in some fats in my diet than I've ever had in my life. Growing up, it's just, I thought that was my identity, this chubby kid. I never got my mind around, hey, I could be a different person than this fat guy growing up. And I just was so consumed in that identity. I thought that's who I was going to be, that I pushed away anything that could have been positive in my life at first, because I said, no, I can't do it. This is who I am. My knees used to ache all the time, man, carrying that weight around, you know, trying to run around, just, you know, be a part of life, man. And it's just, it takes so much wear and tear on your body carrying that weight around. Now I just jump out of bed, you know. I'm able to do so much physical activity that I never thought I would even do in my whole life. This is my goal right now, is to go into October at a powerlift meet. After getting the first taste of a powerlift meet, what it's like, I don't think I could ever go back from that. Now all I want to do is train for the next meet. I really want to focus on getting to the road to 500. It's physically hard to get to that number, man. And right now, that's what I want to focus on within, like, you know, the next couple of years. How do I get myself to even get that bar up for one rep of 500?